This is a short episode that I like to call Voice Notes from Linn, and these are especially made for Substack. So in these shorter episodes, I will share something that have sparked my thinking. Maybe it might be something from a recent conversation I had with somebody, or it might be through something that I read or listened to, and that made me ponder and think further around these subjects, around food eating, body image, and more. And I hope that this would be helpful for you in your own recovery journey. And again, as always, thank you so much for being here. So, in this week's Voice Notes from Linn, I was thinking about, first of all, well, maybe we should talk about the weight loss drugs and the Ozempic and the conversation around that, because I was reading an article in Life, I think it's Irish Independent, or one of those magazines, a couple of days ago, and about somebody's experience using it and their reason for that. But I think I need to sit in that a bit more. It's such a complex, nuanced topic, and I shared some of my thoughts around why it's important to let go of dieting, or the pursuit, like the active pursuit of dieting, whilst we're trying to heal, if we want to try to heal our relationship with food, eating in our bodies, which is not the same thing, of course, as, letting go of the thin ideal because it's so conditioned, but letting go of actively pursuing it. And the use of weight loss drugs, of course, fit into that. And I think I've been really naive, to be honest, when all the conversations were happening online, particularly on Instagram, which is the platform that I would have seen a lot of the conversations around the use of Ozempic. A couple of months ago, I haven't made any posts about it. I haven't written about it. And I actually thought that, that's the States. That's not really happening here in Ireland. And yes, it is. And I have a friend who's a pharmacist, and yes, people are using it, and yes, people are asking for it, and yes, people are being prescribed it. Then the article I read was about a woman who is in Ireland who was getting it, and her experience of being on it for about 13, 14 weeks. But anyway, I think I want to come back to the conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts about that. The thoughts about, weight loss drugs per se, the thoughts about the use of them. And again, it's never about judging or shaming or anybody who is reaching for that. And then there's, I think, a conversation to have as a larger collective. Is it helpful? Why are we looking for those things, and who's making money, and all of those things. And I also started reading Fat Talk, which is a book by Virginia Sole-Smith, who I follow on Substack, and who I was somewhat familiar with before I joined her newsletter. But her book came out, I think, only maybe 2 months ago. It's really new, and I was able to pick it up through a voucher that I was gifted. And I'm only 2 chapters in, and it's an incredible book, and she's obviously done a lot of work and spoken to a lot of people. And I will come back, I think, and do a review of it when I'm finished. But it's something that I really recommend reading. So anyway, so I've given you all these teasers. I don't think we're going to spend some time dissecting those things today. But what I wanted to share was that I had a month off Instagram. Well, to be honest, it's now technically the middle of July, and I took the app off my phone on the 1st of June. So it's more than a month now, because I'm still not really back at it. I downloaded the app a couple of days ago on my phone. I had a look at one of my accounts, but because my accounts they have 2 separate logins, so I'll have to link my other one. I haven't really checked that. I've had a little look since the beginning of July on the desktop version, which is just it is really annoying because they really want you to use the app on the phone. But I wanted to talk about the reasons why taking a break from social media might be helpful, or why I felt that it was something that I wanted to do. So I've been I've been on Instagram, I think, originally since like 2011, I think is when I first joined, when the app was quite new and it was fairly small and friendly, and there wasn't too many options. You could just use the filters that was within the app, and we were still kind of finding our way through. Then I did a little course somewhere around, I think it was probably still 2011 or 2012, and I started an account that I still have called straightforward_nutrition. And it was connected to my business. I was doing a lot of food blogging at the time, even though I was working with clients also, mostly in the realm of kind of general nutrition work. And, I also relaunched my website, I think in 2013. And I was able to grow my account from 500 to 1,000. And I'd say within a year, 18 months, I had over 10,000 followers. And it was quite easy. I wasn't using any strategies or any particular tactics. And it just felt like such a fun, uplifting, supportive community. People were friendly. And I've had the opportunity as well to meet people through the years that I connected with on Instagram in person. And that's been just so lovely. And that's not to say that there was some problematic content around, 2013, 2014. These were the early years of clean eating. And there was a lot of, stuff there. And I would have to put my hand up that I was probably not subscribing to it like wholeheartedly. But, when I look back at my content from about 10 years ago, yes, definitely some problematic stuff around sugar, being the devil, and a couple of things maybe that could do with some updating on my website. But mostly I was enjoying it. I was looking at pretty pictures. I love photography. And it was just, it was an all-around enjoyable experience. And then they brought in video. First it was like 15 seconds, and then stories came. And I think with everything like that, if you've been on a platform or anything for a while, and you get used to it and some things change, it's like that resistance to change. It's like, oh, this is making it worse. But, to be honest, I do quite enjoy stories, and, sometimes you get sucked into it and listen to people having a conversation, or it's a little bit less polished, and it's okay to be things to be less polished on stories. So yeah, I probably don't mind that so much. But I have to say, from whenever they brought in Reels, was it like 2020, when Instagram was now trying to be Instagram, not Facebook, but also like Snapchat, and now adding in like TikTok to the thing, it's like that I have found it to be so exhausting that it's quick, it's very extrovert. I saw somebody recently, I was reading an article about somebody talking about their experience with Instagram and how it's changed, and they were saying like it used to be when it was mostly still images and people were writing nice captions and kind of thoughtful content. It was a lovely platform for people who were more introverted. But now it's, with all the dancing and singing and jumping and pointing and stuff, it's more of a platform for extroverts. And I never thought about it like that, but I wonder, it's like, oh, maybe that's why I just find it quite exhausting. And the other thing as well that I have noticed, so I started a second account, which you may be aware of. It's called @healing_relationship_with_food. And I started that in the beginning of 2021, and then I didn't put a lot of effort into it, and then I put a bit more effort into it over the last while, and I think I have about just over 1,000 followers there now, which is lovely. And I have been a bit more consistent with posting and trying to show up. But I also found that you were kind of being forced into making these silly reels by the platform itself, and I found myself feeling like that I was just performing for the algorithm versus creating content that I feel is helpful for people who are looking to heal and repair their relationship with food, eating, and their body. So I was kind of like, then the rebel in me comes out and says, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm not a monkey in a cage performing for an audience just for the sake of it. I really want genuine connection and conversation and things that are a bit more depth. And I also feel like the work that I do and the conversations that I have with my clients in the therapeutic space are conversation that requires time and depth and nuance and there's complexity there, and we want to be asking questions, we want to be doing some reflection, we want to be doing some learning, some unlearning, and it doesn't really suit just these bite-sized picture memes or text memes, because you can never really get to the depth of it, and because it's just so quick. And I remember, I think it was Africa Burke, who has a really good Instagram page, but she said, you can't have, detailed or complex conversations on limited platforms or platforms that are limiting for doing just that. So it has been, I suppose, really great to be off the platform for a month. I have to say, I was actually surprised. I thought I'd miss it a bit more, and I'm kind of sitting there thinking like, what am I going to do going forward? Because it is one of these things that I feel like I can't just like delete everything and let it go. I love Instagram for a platform to connect with peers. But the flip side of that is that you can also get sucked into a comparison, seeing somebody else's launch or seeing somebody else doing thing and thinking, well, there's no point in me talking about this because they're already talking about it. Even though I think when we're working from a weight inclusive non-diet space, there is so much room for everyone because it's still such a small little bubble. But overall, it really felt good to not be on there. I feel there's a few bits I maybe miss, like a couple of people that I am connected to that, I like seeing their content, I like reading their stuff. But I think what I have learned from this experience is that Instagram is no longer a place that I really want to put a lot of effort and energy into. I'm going to keep going with it. I have over 10 years worth of content on my Straightforward Nutrition account, which over time has turned into kind of a professional, personal snippets of my life. And it's actually quite nice to scroll through all those pictures for me to see about my life. So I'd be hesitant to just delete that. And for my other account, Healing Relationship with Food, it is still a lovely source of connecting to people who might want to join my newsletter, who might want to have more in-depth conversations, and also with peers for interviews, collaborations. So again, I don't think I'm going to give it up, but I see myself kind of putting less and less emphasis on it. And the thing that has come out of this break is that I do want to put more of my energy, time, creativity into this newsletter, to these voice notes that you're listening to today. And I also have, and I'm going to spill the beans now here, the Joyful Nourishment podcast will be launching probably, all going well, towards the end of August, I think. I am currently in the editing phase. The logo for the podcast is being developed, and there's a lot of learning for me to figure out how you do all these podcast stuff, because this is a new venture for me. But I have a couple of solo episodes lined up for you, and I have a handful of very lovely guest episodes with some really remarkable people that I can't wait to share with you. So keep an ear and an eye out for that, because I will be talking more about that in the coming months. But this newsletter that you are hopefully signed up to, the Joyful Nourishment newsletter, which is my weekly newsletter that lives now on Substack, which means that if you've missed previous newsletters or you're not currently subscribed to my newsletter, you can go and check them all out there because they're visible. And I think that's something that's super cool with Substack. It's like the content is there for you to come back to. It's there for you to share. And even more so, you can comment. So any thoughts that you have on social media, how you feel, how you're navigating it now compared to maybe how you were navigating it a couple of years ago. You know, I also find that I have more energy, more mental space, and my attention span is definitely getting better again after having a break from Instagram. So yeah, I'm really curious. What is your relationship with social media these days? Is it changing? Are you taking control and changing it in some direction that you want to? So know that you can leave a comment using the button below on this newsletter. And I would love to hear from you. I think we could have a cool conversation around this. How do we navigate social media in a way for ourselves that takes back to control, so that we don't feel like we're doing all this work for these huge platforms, and we're paying for their attention and our data, and our mental health perhaps, but how can we use it in a ways that still fosters the thing that has been, I suppose, you know, helpful or opened new doors and new ways of doing things. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. I think this is enough of a voice note for today, but let's sit in that. And I think in a couple of weeks, I will be coming back to the conversation around weight loss drugs and, you know, why we feel the desire to use them. But this is for now. So let me know, what's your relationship with social media like these days? I would love to know, and for any advice or tips you have. And again, as always, thank you so much for listening. So appreciated. And that was everything for this week. If you want to find out more, you can find me on my Substack, Joyful Nourishment, or you can go and visit my website, www.straightforwardnutrition.com. And please come back to Substack and leave a comment if this have sparked your interest, if it had made you think, if you have something that you want to share that would be helpful for all of us in this community as we grow together. Again, thank you, and I'll see you soon.